Look at these pictures. Many call it the greatest football game in Pennsylvania history. That's when two powerhouses played for the state title in the snow. Can you believe that game was 10 years ago?
No. I cannot. Well, tonight we look back at the game with those who lived it and loved it. News 8's Mike Hostetler is here with that.
I was one of those who was at Hershey Park 10 years ago, but Mannheim coach Mike Williams likes to kid that since that night, 100,000 people have come up to him and told him that they were there. It was 10 years ago, back in 2003, that Pine Richland and Mannheim Central set the standard by which all other state finals should be measured.
I wrote that night that this game may end up being epic. And over the 10 years now since, it looks like it has.
It looked like they weren't going to be able to stop each other from scoring. So it looked like they could play forever. The snow melted within days. The players have all graduated and grown up. But the memories of that magical game on that snowy night are still fresh 10 years later.
It's a snowy one here in Chocolatetown, USA.
Oh yeah, I was surprised that they played because it was snowing at lunchtime.
Normally it takes us a half hour to get to Hershey, but it took us over an hour and a half to get there.
Well, I slept the whole way up. I woke up about an hour into it and we're still on the turnpike and I didn't know where we were or what was going on.
1, 2, 3, 3! The snow never let up, and neither did a biting wind that gusted to 30 miles an hour. The wind chill was in single digits.
I went back into the press box. My mustache was full of snow and ice.
I don't like being cold, and I didn't have anything to prove, I didn't think, so I was like, I'm putting on Under Armour, wearing high socks, and try to stay warm.
You can see the snow is picking up in intensity.
I don't remember at any given time thinking about it being cold.
Despite the conditions, there was only one turnover in the game.
You're playing in this kind of surreal atmosphere of a heavy snowstorm, and the kids are just out there playing like it's a beautiful sunny day. And so the quality of play was, I think, unbelievable. The only time when they're timeout and you saw guys shoveling the lines, and I think one time I took my hat off and I had about 2 inches of snow in the bill of my hat, but that's the only time you really noticed the weather.
The play on the field was as special as the weather. Both teams traded the lead back and forth with one huge play after another.
Dennis is going to go for the touchdown!
And then there was that unbelievable drive near the end of regulation where Mannheim went down the field.
Right now, 4th and goal at the 10-yard line.
And the touchdown pass at the end of it was this to Ryan Huber, who had 6 receptions all year. That was his 6th reception of the year on this crazy play. I mean, that was like, okay, this has been great till now. Now it's turning into a Disney film, for God's sake, you know.
It is a heads, center up. You won the toss, it's your choice.
Fittingly, the game went to overtime.
It just seemed to be a magical, you talk about Mannheim magic, but it seemed to be magical as it was happening. Because it was going back and forth. There were incredible plays both ways. And you just felt like as the game progressed, it was going to have an ending that we weren't going to forget.
It was just kind of like, we got to make one big play, and now we win it.
It continued into double overtime. Again, both teams scored. Pine Richland lined up for the tying extra point. Mannheim's number 87 is Sean Wilt.
Me and Sean were lined up on the same side, and he looks at me and just says, I'm going. And I was like, okay, go ahead.
And Sean and I both blitzed on the right side, which we got lucky that they didn't run a fake to that side because there would have been nobody left to defend against the 2-point conversion.
Snap down, the kick is blocked! Mannheim Central has won, and it's won!
I still remember looking up at the ball when it was blocked, trying to reach for it.
And then I heard the ball hit his hand, and then I saw everybody just jumping up and down, and it took me a second to figure out what exactly happened. And then I was like, we won. I just couldn't believe it.
I could almost hear like a cannon went off, and it took you about a little bit of a time frame, a second or so, to realize that that ball's not going to make it. We just won the state championship.
Oh my God! The Pine Richland kids in tears and their coaches hugging them, and 30 feet away are the Mannheim Central kids doing snow angels on the field.
I see a picture of myself being hoisted on shoulders with my hand up. You know, to be honest with you, I don't even remember doing that.
It's a state championship game. It's snowing. It's a miraculous ending. Hard to beat that.
Now, the one writer we talked with, Mike Gross, has actually written a book about that night called The Greatest Game Ever. And we tried to interview Sean Wilt, but he is now in the Navy and is in a submarine somewhere in the North Pacific, so we couldn't reach the
Thinking
hero.
about the game 10 years later,
He's the
I'm
one who
sure.
blocked the kick, yeah.
I bet you he's trying to stay warm there.
Probably the
You
same
had a
thing.
crazy night because you, after the game, you were there, of course, and snow covered and everything, and tried to make it back to the school. You did, driving on sidewalks. I
Yeah.
was at the school. They had fire trucks up over the area with the buckets, with people coming through and fans.
Oh,
just
it was such a
crazy.
special night.
Yeah, it was so good. Thanks, Mike.
Take a look